So I take it you've all heard about Overwatch 2 going free to play. A major W if you're an avid player. I mean, they've already began preparations by removing the old Overwatch image and have replaced it with an Overwatch 2 one. Now that leads into the downside about this news. Overwatch 2 will replace Overwatch 1 when it releases. This has caused mixed reactions. On the one hand, some people aren't bothered because it's pretty much the same game with a few adjustments, PvE, some new characters, buffs, nerfs and a battle pass. But in general, there's nothing drastic that's happened. You can understand why they're just replacing it or supposedly updating it. Okay, a few adjustments defo isn't the right term, that is an understatement. In general, all roles have received changes to ultimate charge rates, health and armor. Individually, most characters have received minor tweaks to health, damage, bullet spread, etc. Even the new characters Sojourn and Junker Queen have received changes. But specific characters have been completely reworked, like Roadhog, Mei, Cassidy, Orisa, and Doomfist, who is now a tank in Overwatch 2. No more uppercutting for you, broski. So I guess you could argue that the changes are strong enough to class it as a new title, since the gameplay will be very different to Overwatch 1. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, on the other hand though, players are kinda disappointed, and rightly so, because everyone loses access to the first game, the one everyone paid for. But I guess Activision / Blizzard are just doing a swap of sorts, giving you something supposedly better at no extra cost. The question is how they'll do this. What happens to Overwatch for disc users, digital users? Do we still use it? Will it just update? Will it become unusable? Or is everyone downloading a completely new and separate game? I guess we'll see. Apparently, the only thing that will not carry over is your level. So everyone will be starting again essentially. Doesn't really bother me because I haven't even prestiged yet, but for those who have, it must sting a little losing all that progress. I think you get to keep all your skins, anything you got from loot boxes though. But why am I saying all this? Well, my friend recommended Overwatch to me and I was always skeptical. Heard all the horror stories, it being very toxic, a bad community, players throwing matches in competitive, yada yada yada. I've seen it all in this game already, trust me. The games these days have been kind of meh, so I was like, F it, let's see. And honestly, after 40 plus hours of playing, I love this game, fam. I'm so glad my friend recommended it to me, it's so much fun. And with Overwatch 2 just a couple of months away, for what it's worth, I'm gonna miss this version of the game regardless. Let's talk about it. So this team-based hero shooter comes with a lot of game modes, a lot of characters, and a decent amount of maps. The maps themselves are great in my opinion. They're mostly inspired by different countries, whereas some are straight fictional like Blizzard World. Although I have been told that some were removed, like Paris, because it was actually considered too big. Most objects are destructible and movable. I like it when games do this. Rather than the objects just being there for display, you can actually interact with them. It brings a lot of life to each individual map, at least most objects do.
What the are you doing?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And no, I don't go around punching everything, but attention to detail is always nice is what I'm saying. You also need to watch your step on certain maps though. It's very easy to get pushed off in this game, seriously. As for the game modes, I haven't played all of them yet, but I'll talk about the ones I've been introduced to. Obviously you have the standard quick play consisting of modes like Escort, where the attackers have to move a payload to the objective, and defenders have to prevent that from happening. There's also a hybrid version of this where you have to capture a point first before you can escort the payload, rather than it just being outside the gate when you start. This was new to me. I thought it was interesting because back when I played Team Fortress 2, the payload was always right outside the gate, so yeah, it's good to see some differences. You also have other modes like Control, where both teams have to capture and hold an objective till it reaches 100%. Not too much to say on this, it's definitely fun and a good way to test your team working abilities. Healers are the most important on this mode in my opinion, because if one of you dies, it could cost your whole team the game. Whilst waiting for these matches though, you can also use the practice range or kill players and your friends in skirmish and deathmatch. A sandbox game mode of sorts, which is much appreciated, helps pass the time. But with poor timing, it just becomes annoying when you load up one of these just to be taken out instantly because your match is already about to begin. Some of these game modes can have its level of chaos ramped up with the arcade mode. These are on a daily rotation, so I've been told, and Total Mayhem is arguably the craziest game mode I've played in Overwatch. Everyone has double their health, their abilities come back 75% faster, and their ultimates come back 50% faster, which can make for some absolute carnage scenes. Although some would argue it's very unbalanced, I see it as almost like a schism of sorts. Everyone gets their abilities back so quickly that a constant back and forth between both teams is created. Neither given an inch, because all it takes is for one wrong character to die, and that could break the cycle, letting the enemy team gain the advantage in contesting the point. But in this hybrid match you're seeing now, we contested this point for almost 10 minutes, to the point where the overtime actually capped out and gave us the win. Everyone was regenning health like crazy. This was hella stressful indeed, bro. Then there's this mode. I believe it's supposed to be gun game. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, because I had crossplay enabled. I thought this was a modded deathmatch or something. You know, players kept rapidly switching characters and ultimates were almost instant. So I thought a PC player was just messing with us. Not to mention the massive white platform we're on. It's like something straight out of GTA creator mode. So it's either that or a custom game, but I don't know how much power you have in terms of creating your own matches, so I could be wrong. But despite the wins and losses, the community is nicer than I thought, you know. In deathmatch, people don't even want to fight. Some just want to spam emotes with you, spam hellos, greetings, whatever you want to call it during the preparation segment for quick play. Then again, it has just been over 6 years since this game released, so maybe everyone's chilled out by now. So unless you got steamrolled, players are respectful from what I've seen. But whilst quick play seems to be all sunshine and roses, the same can't be said for competitive, as this mode takes a dark turn. Now, I'm exaggerating, it's not that bad. Now, I was warned about competitive being a bit toxic, and rightly so. Playing with friends has made it a bit more bearable, but I've seen a few messages here and there. Most of them are taunting, which I'm not bothered about, you know, the classic GG, easy, get good, hold this L, whereas some have been wild, but funny at the same time. One guy told my mate he was going to piss on him, always lovely to see. There's obviously jokes involving people's parents as well, and it was only a matter of time until we ran into the N-word. I ain't never seen anyone spell it like this before, bro. That is a new one. Players are getting more and more creative. Surprisingly, I thought I'd see this sooner, you know, I thought I'd see this in my first game, but it could be my luck that I'm just running into less aggravated players. The lobby chat does have its random side though. People will say the weirdest stuff, which is always hilarious to see. And a quick side note, why is everyone naming themselves Pants Please? I know this is a Warzone thing where cheaters call themselves this, so I was a bit shook when I first encountered them, but these guys in Overwatch aren't actually cheaters. There's just so many of them. Like every 3 or 4 games I'll match with at least one of these players. It's crazy. Look, there's even one on the enemy team. The hell? I'ma be real though. There have been times where I've been tempted to send something back to other players, but then I remembered, I can't trash talk for the life of me, so I always let players have the last laugh and talk to themselves essentially. Trust me, you don't want to know what I was about to say here, would have been so cringe. We've even had a few altercations in quick play. Despite it being more forgiving when you lose, a lot of players like to blame and shame, you know, point the finger at those who weren't doing their job properly.
Man, boy, your dad, and all the niggas you and your little motherfucking minions done plotted on in between. Tiana, Khadisha, Lenny, Carvel, him, bodies.
In this instance, my mate and I were on the receiving end of that. Apparently we sucked at support, but I think the results say otherwise. Obviously, the player cards are a bit biased. They only show who was the best in a particular category, not how everyone did as a whole. So there's that, but I think we still did a good job. Overwatch 2 will fix this, I believe, as they're adding a scoreboard so you can see how everyone did in general. And I'm gonna be hypocritical for just a second, but I didn't see this Reinhardt put up a shield once, bro. Spent 90% of the game rushing the enemy like he's Takamichi, instead of staying near the objective where we could actually support it. Wish I recorded the full match, but without proof, I'm chatting BS. But honestly, it's not that deep. You just need to be aware that no one is safe in this game. The concept of Overwatch is made to be competitive, even if you aren't in the game mode itself. You're gonna get blamed for something in casual matches. It's part of the package. You know, no one likes losing, but at least you can enjoy the funny sides of people's comments at the end of each game. But don't worry, it's nowhere near as bad as the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. Trust me. Let's get into some characters. Overwatch has been busy over the past 6 years because this is a fairly big roster, over 30 characters, 32 to be exact. I think I've tried just under half these characters, still a lot I need to explore. The launch roster had 21 characters, so 11 were added over time. They all have their own unique abilities and playstyles. Some are easy to use, whereas some are hard to master. But from the background gameplay, you can tell which characters I'm enjoying at the moment. Soldier 76 was one I gravitated towards to begin with. Used him in a tutorial and realized how powerful his AR is. He's a good all-rounder, good damage, he can heal himself, and he's got some explosive potential. Not to mention his ultimate, which is literally an aimbot. He's definitely one of the easier characters. The AR alone is broken. It does have a bit of recoil to it, so it took some getting used to when I first started playing with him. The first few rounds have 0 recoil, then it starts to kick up a bit. Once you get the hang of him, you'll be popping heads in no time.
Get out of my way, I'll run you over.
He's just that good. Although I'm unsure if he's been nerfed in the past, I'll be surprised if he hasn't been, because he's definitely a problem in quick play and competitive. Using this guy sometimes feels illegal, but in Overwatch 2, he is actually getting a nerf. His DPS will actually drop from 20 to 18, and his movement speed will drop from 50% to 40%, so I guess he is still considered OP by the majority. I've just got to remember not to get too overconfident with this guy, because tanks will murk him. However, the connection with 76 eventually faded as I realized how hard it is to play a damage character in this game. I rarely get it, and even with the priority pass I'd be waiting in the lobby for ages because the class is just that popular. It's like 90% of players are queued up for that. So you're better off running flex, same thing happens when I play with my mates too. We'll always end up as tank or support. On the odd occasion, one of us may get damage, but it's still jarring. So I had to try elsewhere, and Zenyatta is the character I main right now. His fighting style reminds me of Akaza's from Demon Slayer. Even though Zen doesn't actually punch, the way he throws his orbs reminds me of the upper 3 member. Not to mention that they dress similar too. Obviously he can't float like your boy Zenny, so there are distinctions between the two. Sort of. He does have the ability to float, but he does not move very quickly. He's definitely one of the slower characters, which can make you an easy target for characters like Widowmaker or Ashe. The orbs around his neck were a bit deceiving at first. I initially thought you could use all of them to heal every single ally on your team, but that would be OP, and that would be stupid. You can only use one, so I found that you need to be very selective and pass it around from player to player to heal efficiently. I think where he really shines is with his damage output. Let's be real guys, Zen is probably better off in the damage category. Although I really shouldn't, I like to go on the offensive with this guy sometimes, almost play him like a damage role since his Orb of Discord is just that powerful. I can still see why he's classed as a support role, since the bonus damage doesn't just apply to me, it's to every player on my team, so if you play him right, you can help kill a lot of players. You can one-shot most damage classes with a full charge of orbs and go toe-to-toe with tanks. The healing orb is just the cherry on the top. Potency is okay, but it doesn't heal at the rate to keep a player alive when they're fighting enemies. There are better healers for that. I found as long as you have the orb on someone, you're good, you're doing your job. Pairing it with another healer like Mercy is great. Healing isn't the main focus with Zen. You can't just dedicate the whole match to mashing R1 on every player. Like I said, there are better healers who can focus on that like Lucio, Mercy, Baptiste or Anna. Not saying you shouldn't heal, you should because that's part of your job. I just think damage is where he shines the best. And how can I forget about his ultimate? It saved me from close call situations and can help counter other ults. Sometimes I've tried to use it to save my friends, but you aren't completely invincible in it. Your teammates can still die depending on the ultimate you're countering. And even though Zen can float, you still need to watch your step with him.
Pass into the iris. Tactical visor.
So yeah, definitely my #1 character. I don't think Zen is underrated. In fact, he's actually the second most used character in the game. But I've rarely come across enemy Zen, so that statistic was more or less surprising. However, even with all these cool abilities, speed is something Zen lacks. And let me tell you, fast characters are a force to be reckoned with in this game.
Come on! Yes! Yes! Yes!
Lucio, another character I main, can be a nuisance to fight against. Lucio's abilities are easy to understand and easy to use since you don't actually have to do anything. Just put your headphones on and start bobbing your head. He passively heals, passively speed boosts, as long as players are inside the ring, but because of how fragile he is, you need to know when to turn it up, use your speed and wall running ability to stay alive. I love his voice lines so much I started using them myself, and well, let's say some people don't approve. Michael needs some heals. Turn it up.
I will mute you. I'm not kidding. So,
Turn it up. Jokes aside, Lucio is a fun character. His sound wave can make for some easy kills by pushing enemies off ledges or into holes. It's definitely the cheese way of getting free kills, just gotta line it up and you can pretty much push any character off the map. It's quite fun, but infuriating when it happens to you. You can even save yourself from a Roadhog hook if you're quick enough. The sound wave can be abused heavily in Mayhem, so you can keep enemies suspended in the air, making it harder for grounded characters to aim at your teammates and do damage. His ultimate can make your team a bit more aggressive as well when fighting since they've got health to spare. Amping up his speed makes him difficult to hit, so you can keep enemies distracted long enough so you or your team can finish them off and make a push for the objective. You can even use that speed to help get your slower teammates to an objective. It's especially good when you're contesting and need to hurry back. When playing as Zen though, not so much. Imagine a Reinhardt charging you so hard it crashes your game. You didn't even complete the animation. The developers were like, nah, you don't need to witness this, so they just disconnect you, like, bruh, go ahead and log out for me. But yeah, those two characters are definitely at the top of my list. Also, there's one major thing I literally just found out about Lucio. My friend showed this to me recently. I've always been tapping X to wall run because I thought he had a time limit. I thought he could only cling to the wall for a brief amount of time before falling off. And although this looked faster, it's not the way I'd like to wall run, to be honest. Turns out I was doing it wrong the whole time anyway. In actual fact, if you just hold X, you can skate along walls. Big WTF moment for me, it was that easy the whole time. Apparently you should only tap X to jump off, switch directions, or jump to another wall. You're literally glued to it otherwise. I've been watching my mate play Lucio and wondering how the F is he able to stay in the air for so long. But that's how. You can learn so much from these veteran players. That's why playing with friends is so good. But I should have figured this out ages ago since Lucio is one of my favourite characters. All I'll say is for any new players joining Overwatch or when it goes free to play in October, definitely use the practice range. You may find some stuff you never knew about your favourite characters. Or if you're not feeling that adventurous, you can just YouTube it. That's way easier. Okay, I had a whole other bunch of characters I wanted to talk about, but this video is getting way too long, so I'm gonna end it there. I may do another video on them, we'll see. But yeah, that's it from me. That's what I wanted to touch on in terms of Overwatch. The gameplay, the diverse set of characters and abilities can make for some entertaining engagements. The short matches provide quick bursts of fun, it's easy to get into and play whenever. You don't need to be fully committed. 40 hours is a lot of game time, but I feel like I barely scratched the surface with this game. There's so much more I want to try out. And even though Overwatch 2 is technically an expansion or update, Overwatch will still be missed in my books if it becomes inaccessible. The gameplay is what grew on me the most, and playing with friends has made that experience 100 times better. Trust me, playing on your ones is boring AF. So let's hope the second game lives up to the hype. It's been Dre, take care and see you next time.